sky open. You're like, oh, like there's your answer. So when I see big people, I get excited because I love big people.
Well,
big people are awesome.
Yeah.
Weightlifting, it doesn't hurt nobody. MMA, absolutely not. That's combat sports. That's attempted murder.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Man Savannah podcast. I'm your host, Matthew J. Lepore, and we have the one-liner, the bench specialist, the Westside Barbell looking. I mean, you did study at Westside Barbell, so it's not like it's a lie. And Mr. Zach Santangelo.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh, dude, I don't think you understand how excited I was, because as you know, like Roman and I, he was on twice. And we would talk about you, obviously, you know. And when you were like, yeah, dude, your thing's hysterical, like, you know, if you ever wanted to have me on, and I think I stole you, like, almost instantly.
Yeah, it was pretty quick. Like, no, I was listening to it, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should clear some air, bring my own one-liners, maybe offer something to the man. Like, you know, I'm all about helping people out, but this interview could be cool.
Oh, dude, this is great. So I've talked to Roman about like how you've been kicking my ass on Sundays and how I can no longer bro bench around you, and how because the one day, right, I texted him, I'm like, dude, you're an asshole. He's like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, you took Zach and you showed him what reverse grip was, and then I think you texted me like, yo, everything's gonna change. You're gonna be doing this, and I suffered.
I mean, that when I went the first time I went to Death Wish and he was benching and he was doing that, I was intrigued because I did reverse grip as a kid through Anthony Clark. I don't know if you know who Anthony Clark is.
Just pull this thing.
He was a big-time bench presser back in the day, like 90s, early 90s probably.
Okay.
Anyway, he couldn't touch his shirt with a regular grip, so he did a standard reverse grip bench press, and he was one of the biggest benchers in the world at the time. And when I started getting into powerlifting, he was the big deal. He was like a 5'7" Filipino dude, probably weighed 400 pounds.
Oh,
and I was like, dude, that dude's arms are huge. I'm going to do what he does. And I read an article he did in Powerlifting USA, and I started doing it. So I knew about reverse grip, but the same thing like Roman said, like you can't really supinate your hand that much on the bar without it hurting. So when he was doing it with the fork grip, I was like, I want in. Like, let's try it. And I did it, and I was like, okay, I understand. And it's very mechanically easy for anybody, and it works. And I've been doing a lot of reverse grip on like days I do more repetition and stuff like that. But yeah, no, that was a game changer for me. So props to him for that.
holy shit! So that's where it came from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always trying to find ways to help me in my lifts, and consequently will help others if I'm helping them or they ask. But when I felt everything that I felt while I was doing that, it was an automatic click. Like it was easy. It's like, you know, the sky open. You're like, oh, like there's your answer. You know what I mean?
No, that's great, dude. I've seen videos about like, you know, reverse grip, especially from Roman and those guys over at Death Wish. And like for me, it was like I didn't know how to properly do it, and I just wanted to make sure that I was like, you know, just at least benching and doing general strength. And then the one day when you're like, no, dude, everything you're doing, you know, like what to do, but not how to do it. And I think the biggest thing for me was learning how, like, my touch point, which I still am like getting down. I've never in my life brought the barbell so far down on my body. So, like, for those of people that don't know, like, what does that do for them?
So the bar path is important because of joint angles. Every lift has lines of force or force vectors in physics, and if they're not properly aligned, you're mechanically incorrect moving the weight. So you're using more energy to move the bar in a path. So that's why I'm always stressing lines of force. So when I was like talking to Coconuts, when he was asking me, you know, what should I look for with these kids at St. Joe's, I was like, all you have to do is look at their elbows and their wrists. If they're in a line, then it's perfect. If they're not in a line, your wrists are behind, your wrists are too far forward, then you're doing it wrong. So that's why the touch point is so low, because you need to have that joint angle.
You're very smart.
Thank you.
No, it's kind of like surreal. You're kind of here, but anyways, now that I'm fanboying, so you did some time over at Westside Barbell, right? And that people out there that are and like follow me, obviously are more into lifting,
Hmm.
so they've probably seen the documentary. So
Hmm.
you worked with Louis Simmons.
Yes,
How was that?
it was an experience. Getting there was probably the hardest application quote process I've ever done. So, Westside at the time, this was 2004. I was in college, and I was pre med at first, and then when I realized I didn't want to study that hard, I went to exercise science. That was just something that I was always interested in, but I didn't want to.
Was that kinesiology, like exercise science?
Yeah, so they
Okay.
called it fitness management, is what they called it at that school. Anyway, so when I got to Lock Haven, I was there playing football, and our strength and conditioning coach used Westside methods, and I knew about them previously from high school. But when we started doing it, I started picking his brain. Like after my meetings with my coach, I'd go talk with him, and he gave me the videos, he gave me tapes, he gave me books, and then I was like, you know what, I want to learn more. So then I reached out to the Westside Barbell phone number that was on the back of the or at the end of the tapes. And I would get somebody. I'm like, hey, do you guys take college interns? No, we don't do that yet. Click. Okay. Well, I need to find a way to get in here. I'm not a world class powerlifter. There's no way I'm going to get invited.
Yeah.
I'm playing football. Like I'm a D2 football player. There's no interest for Westside Barbell to have somebody like me there.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm going to be a little more persistent. So I wrote a letter. Almost probably every week to 2 weeks, I wrote a letter to them asking if I could just come and learn. Like, doesn't have to be paid. I just want to learn. After 6 or 7 months of doing that, I got a phone call. I think it was his wife Doris is the one who called me, and was like, "Hey, we've been getting your letters. You can come, but we're not paying, and you need to find your way. And like, we're not housing you. We're not like whatever. Like, you need to find your way to get out here. By the way, you can come up this weekend." And this was like end of May, and told my mom, I was like, "Yep, I'll see you. I'm gonna go. Like, whatever money I have, I'm just gonna go, and we're gonna figure it out." I lived in an apartment that you rented by the week. That was probably no bigger than this little area. Like my bath, like where my pillow was on the bed that I had was probably about 2 feet away from the toilet. Like that's where I was, and
Dude.
that was probably 5 or 6 weeks at a time over the summer.
Where were you staying at this point? Like what were you in PA? Were you?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just like, so they're in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
So where were you located at that point?
Well, I was living in Collegeville,
Okay. Okay. So you okay? Yeah. Yeah.
so I drove out and I did some research. Like I called, I had a few places, tried to find places to be. Like I was totally content about living in my car for a little bit until I found what the hell was going on. My little Toyota Tercel. I was completely content
Okay.
because that was like the dream to go there. Now I'm not going there as a lifter. I'm going there to learn. So it's a little bit different. When I got there, there was one other guy. I guess it was not a soft tissue guy, more like a physical therapy guy. I forget his name. The names are terrible. But when I got there, they just moved to the warehouse location. I forget the name of the road. They could just they moved everything over there, and just like out of the pan into the fire kind of deal. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
basically I was just staying away from people, learning from people from a distance. I'd have to read all these books that Louis would give. Like if I didn't understand something or he said something, and I had like this look on my face, like I didn't know. Oh, we got a book. Go over there. Okay. And then mainly what I did, something I wasn't asked to do, but I took notes on what everybody was doing. Now, granted, I was totally removed. So if you take our bench session, for example, if that was a crew of 4 or 5 lifters on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning, I would probably be closer to where the incline bench was. Like that's the distance that I would keep.
Oh.
Because don't interfere. Like, don't get in the way. Like, I was scared shitless because these guys are all huge. Like, if you think about Gabe, have you, Gabe, when he was doing strongman, he was very
I
imposing.
remember. Yeah.
Very imposing.
I was doing. Yeah.
That was a smaller guy there. So when you have guys like that, you stay out of the way. And I did. And that was part of the
Holy
deal. That was like
shit.
the unwritten rule. You stay away from these guys. Don't interfere. And if you did, they would take care of you. It wouldn't be Lou. It wouldn't be anybody else. It'd be them. So basically the notes that I took were just what they were doing. Their sets, their reps, the bands, the weights, how they did it, the cues that they were yelling out, and I had notebooks that I'm still trying to find in my mother's house. But yeah,
That's
it
crazy.
was a good time.
So you got to like see all of this for how long was the internship?
So it was like 6 weeks at a time. So after the first one, I said, thank you. I'm going back to school. Can I come back? I was like, yeah, you can come back. Okay, cool. So basically, I would give them a call probably about a month or so before my semester ended, and I'd go back. And I went there 3 times.
So like at any point did these lifters go, oh, here's Zach, this is cool. Did you have any kind of camaraderie with these guys,
No,
or was it
absolutely not.
okay?
Absolutely. Oh no, I'm not part of them. I am not like when people say, "Oh, you're at Westside." Yeah, I was, but I'm not Westside.
Yeah,
There's a difference between being there and being Westside. I'm not
yeah.
Westside.
I just didn't know because I know like as people just are in the same space, and I'm sure you as I know you're a respectful guy.
Mm-hmm.
You probably like respected the space and like yo like what's up? And you got closer to them. Maybe you like were still observing, but like not as far of a distance.
The only time I got close is when they asked me to change plates. Come help us change plates. Okay, all right, you got it. I'm not,
Yeah.
and I made sure that like there was. Oh my god, I think was it Tony Baloney? I forget who it was. Somebody needed the plates set a certain way. Some people like the plates with the numbers in.
All right, just do this. Just push this.
Some people like the
Perfect.
plates with the numbers facing in,
Yeah. Some
facing
people,
out.
yeah.
Some people liked them out. Some people liked it in. And similar, if you watch the Westside documentary, Greg Penor was talking about this when he put the weights on wrong.
They
The dude
probably
dumped it.
Panora on Instagram. Yeah.
Right. And I've seen something similar, like to that effect. Not as drastic as however they were squatting,
Yeah.
but dudes flip out. And I knew because I watched a bunch of these guys that if I was with this crew, I need to make sure the numbers are out. If I was over here, it didn't matter. But it's like it was,
It was that.
yeah, it was very aggressive.
See, like everyone knows about Westside. Like I know I wear my shirt and yada yada yada. And obviously I'm not even near part of them, but it really was kind of like how the documentaries post about
I think the
people talk
documentary
about it.
gave a fair look into what it is, but it didn't give like the intensity is unmatched. Like it's like okay, it's like you're doing a strongman in a couple weeks. It's like you were lifting with the crew that you're going to compete against, but you're training with them, and you're all trying to win. You're all trying to be better. So yeah, there's a little bit of camaraderie, but you got to earn that camaraderie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, people are just trying to push you out. They're testing you constantly. Are you sitting down between sets? Are you panting? Are you leaning? Are you this? Are you drinking water when you should be walking up to the mono? Like everything was under scrutiny until you were part of that group. Like all they wanted to do was to force you and haze you out.
Wow.
Or you would survive and become one of them. Like you needed to pass the test of whoever was in your crew, whoever was leading, whoever was there, morning or afternoon session, so on and so forth. Like it was a very intense place. The documentary did a great job of explaining like how they were as a whole, but until you're there and you see like people getting at each other who you think are friends and you think they're going to fight, like it's aggressive. Like people don't understand like that is something that is unmatched. Like you can't find it anywhere.
Wow. Because to me, like West Side it's one of those stories, one of those gyms that no one can replicate. People have tried,
Mm-hmm.
and I just think it's so interesting because people always try to have this intensity when lifting,
Mm-hmm.
or they'll try to do this and be like actual assholes, but they're not that strong. They
Mm-hmm.
they want to create this atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone and people don't even know like the reverse hyper was you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are like, oh, no one uses that machine. And I tried to tell my girlfriend the other day, I'm like, this is probably one of the biggest machines and best machines you could use.
Mm-hmm.
And no one knows Louis created it.
For a long time, nobody did.
Yeah.
No.
And the thing is not a lot of people knew that he
And
passed.
yeah, and
fairly
the model
recently.
changed. And the model changed.
Yeah.
Like the format of it. So the roller. If you've seen at the gym, there's a roller extension to the hyper. It's
Yeah,
two
yeah.
pads. Okay. So I was a part of that implementation to a point. Like I took notes for the guy who was basically trying. So with the strap was the original like setup for your feet.
Yeah, that's
And okay, so you got your glutes, you got your hamstrings, and you got your lower back. Louis was always trying to find ways to improve things, and he always said, "Well, what if we put something like we have on the glute ham on to the reverse hyper?" So when I got there, they were already working on it, and they were talking about angles, like they couldn't figure it out right, like everything was welded and made like kind of primitively.
Yeah.
And then I was a part of is like, well, how do we make this so it works for everybody? Because if you notice, like it'll move with your feet, and you can
Yeah.
adjust yourself. Well, the original didn't,
Yeah.
but I was part of that adjustment, I guess you could say. So I have a small piece of that.
Holy shit. This is insane. Like, cause in my little world, right, I never would have imagined that I'd be around someone who was at least there. You know, because you hear about it, it's of legend. It has this massive aura
Yeah,
around
there's a
it.
big romance with it,
There is.
and I understand it. I was there. I was romanced with it. Like Chuck V was the man. Chuck Vogel was the man. Like I wanted to be. Everybody wanted to be Chuck. Everybody wanted to squat like Chuck. Everybody wanted to have his stupid hat, and everybody wanted to be crazy. But you don't know what that is until you see it. And when you got there, you're like, oh, this is. I would have never thought this.
Yeah.
Like he's intense on the platform. You thought he'd be like a regular chill dude. Like yeah, he's a very quiet person, but until you see it happening, like you're like this dude's gonna pop off. Like his head's gonna blow off, and he's training. So I can only imagine the intensity on that platform.
Holy shit, dude. That's just low key terrifying.
Extremely terrifying.
But the thing is like I don't know, dude. Maybe it's because again I'm removed from it. I've never had any. You were the closest thing I've gotten ever to Westside Barbell.
Okay.
Like as a person who was there. So it's like you hear stories, you train, you do all this stuff, you go to these meets, and everyone always knows the West Side story, right? And then then that when that documentary comes out, and then with Louis just passing, everyone pretends like they watched the documentary or they know about it, or oh my gosh, I lived by it, But now people know the actual stories and someone who was there.
Yeah, so Louis passing wasn't as big of an impact for me as it would be for people who were there, had relationships with him, spent time with him, had tenure with them, was there from the garage days through Demarest through there. Like, but there was a part of me that was like, obviously I was saddened because I learned a lot from that man. Maybe not directly, but indirectly. Like he has like small ways of teaching people things without you really realizing it. You were just taught something.
Yeah.
That's why, like, if you look at it, like a lot of these guys who are at Westside, they're very good businessmen. Like you got Mark Bell, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like he patterned his gym over at Super Train like him. He's like, oh, like in the documentary, oh, this is the best gym in the world. And I can come here for free. Like who does that? Well, that's what he does. Anytime you go over there, you can go in there for free.
Yeah.
Into his gym. Dave Tate, Jim Wendler, like all those guys, like yeah, they were good athletes and great people probably prior to that, but that mentoring that they got, or indirect mentoring you could say, from Louis, just that lifestyle of you always need to get better, you always need to find a some type of solution for any problem. When there's a new answer, you change the question. Like everybody learns from this man, and they're very good businessmen. Like you've learned a lot from that man, and I think what I took the most from him is you always need to you need to keep learning, no matter what's going on. Somebody's always better than you. Somebody always has something that you can use to help yourself.
Yeah,
that's why like you have to become obsessed with it. That's his life. That gym was his life. Powerlifting was his life. Training was his life. Methods was his life. He constantly wanted to be better, and I think that's what he gives to people once they understand what that person is. And what he's giving people is he's giving people gifts that they don't really understand. Oh, it's just a guy telling me to do 8 sets of 3 and he's yelling at me because of this. That. He goes, no, he's telling you always need to be better and you always need to find new answers.
That's
and
great.
So yeah.
Oh my god, it makes sense. You do live it, And the thing is what's interesting is you go around and you try to teach everyone that you know almost what you can. And I've never seen like you really ever ask like for a dime or anything like that, which I think is madly impressive.
Oh no, because everything that I've learned, I've more or less learned for free.
Yeah.
When I was a kid coming up, like I was trying to learn everything I could from anybody that would have me.
Yeah.
and I was never proposition. Oh yeah, well come over here where it's $45 a session. I could never flip that as a kid.
Yeah.
Um, Probably nor could my parents. So when I learned something for free, and a lot of stuff I did learn on my own as well. Like if I have an opportunity to help somebody, I will. I'm very choosy, more so now than ever, because everybody knows, but nobody knows is my favorite answer. Oh yeah, this, that, and the
One
other.
liner.
Well, you could do this and you'd be a little better. Oh yeah, but if I do this, it'll be even better. No, but okay, you can go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So that's why I was talking with Sam. I'm like, he goes, yeah, well, like, this is getting better. I'm like, he just knows everything. I'm just gonna listen to it. It was funny. It was Sunday. I think it was Keith. He goes, yeah, man, you're gonna do this now. Like whatever. I'm like, nah. Chef said I can't do that. I just what I call it because like, obviously Luke worked.
Yeah.
And he's like, huh, interesting. I'm like, cause who am I to tell you? I don't like that.
I mean, you're more than welcome to. I take criticism very, very easily. Like if it's credible. Like
Yeah.
I'm helping. I've been helping Patsy now for a year, and constantly every time I write her a new cycle, I was like, hey, if there's anything that needs to change, or if there's anything that doesn't feel right, or if you have any feedback, and she will give me feedback, and I'll be like, I don't really agree with that, but we can go
Mm-hmm.
another route and try this. And she's like, oh, I really like that. Like I'm completely open because everybody's different. The human body hasn't changed in however many millions of years, but everybody's mechanics are different. Everybody's leverages are different,
Yeah.
especially in lifting. So you need to take that into account before you give somebody some kind of cookie cutter program or cookie cutter exercise. It's not going to work for everybody.
You know how much you're blowing my mind right now?
You're welcome.
I hate you so much.
No, it's just like all right. It's like I'm 30. I'm 39 years old. Like I've been lifting since I was 11. Like I've went through it all.
It's just
It's just experience, and you pass it on. Like
yeah.
that's how people get better. And I don't need credibility. Like you can go break a log press world record, be like, oh Zach, help me. No, I didn't. I just told you what to do. I just gave you numbers. You did the work.
Yeah.
I'm never gonna take credit from anybody or be like, yeah, that's my guy. It's like, no, I was a part of it. Cool, I'm proud of it. But that's all you. Like you win the championship. The kids win the game.
Yeah.
The coach, goes home,
Yeah.
drinks a beer, and this is cool. Like that's the way it should be.
No, I understand. It's just I wish more people had your mentality towards this,
Hmm.
because I feel like all people, or most people are looking. That's proper English. Most people are looking for like a piece of the pie. They want to. Oh well, I carried his bag into the gym. Oh, I'm one of the reasons. Yada yada yada. And I feel like most people should just be like, well, I'm helping.
I think the only time I ever used anything like that is when somebody will ask me why I'm telling somebody or somebody does it this way or what have you, and like I'll say like for Patsy for example, this one girl at the gym was like, why is she doing that? And I was like, well, because it's helping, her triceps, her lat, and her lat involvement, and we put 30 pounds on her bench press in 6 months. Like that's me taking credibility just to kind of like validate what I'm doing
Yeah.
to this person. Be like, it'll help you because this helped her.
Yeah.
And like that's the only time I'll ever do anything like that. Other than that, it's just like, oh man, Matt had a 400 and 900 pound overhead press. How did you do that? And I'm like, oh, he probably took juice. I don't fucking know. You know what I mean? Like I don't like. Yeah, sure, I helped him, but at the end of the day, it's you. You, the athlete, did it. I just crunch numbers, man.
Dude, I should show you my Instagram DMs. So like when I after like beer muscles, right? I got posted about it. People were like hitting me up, go, "Hey, dude, like, are you like what are you taking? Like, what's safe?" And I was like, I was a little blown away. I'm like, this wasn't like like the craziest meet in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And then who is it? Gorilla Milf, Joe, Burkert.
I
Oh,
don't know.
he gets them too.
I'm worse. I'm terrible with names.
Oh,
You can show me a picture, and I might be like, okay, I don't know. But go ahead. Sorry.
but it's just interesting because people really do think almost every gym goer that goes like kind of like art style gym is just on something.
Yeah. And if you haven't taken anything, you don't know. But like there are things that you can see. Like there's like maybe 3 or 4 females that go to the gym that are on something.
Yeah.
And the only way you can tell that is if you've seen it or you've done it yourself. You know what to look for.
Mm.
But like, I knew you weren't on. I know Mark Lissio's not on. I know there's a bunch of people that aren't on.
Yeah.
But then you look at some people, be like, maybe you're doing a little something. Maybe it's a peptide. Maybe it's something, but you're doing something. And I really don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you're competing within the rules of whatever designation or federation, if it's non-tested, knock your socks off. If you're tested and you find a way around it, okay, cool. But if you get caught, shame on you. Like, don't ever get caught. If you're gonna cheat, don't get caught.
Yeah. Yeah. You always
You
say
know?
that in school. If you're gonna cheat, just don't get caught.
Like I used to try shortcuts all the time. Like I was a big fan of Balco Labs. You know what Balco
Yeah.
Labs is? Okay.
Yeah.
And they were fine. Like Vince or Victor Conte was like telling athletes to use Viagra to enhance blood flow because that's what it does. Like Viagra puts blood flow into a certain area when it's stimulated. Well, what happens if you put it the rest of the body? Well, now you've dilated blood vessels. You got more oxygen. You got more red blood cells. Like everything's going. Like everybody tries to find their niche or find their little,
Yeah.
um,
Well, that just
not
happened
cheat
to
code, but everybody wants an edge. And even in like raw powerlifting, people are finding an edge.
You have to.
Whether it's no, well, do you? I don't really. You do. I think to a point. If you're at the top, if you're in the top 2% of raw powerlifting, you need that edge.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But that's 100 people.
Oh yeah. Okay, so you're saying like
If you're at a local
amateur?
meet,
Yeah.
if you're at a local meet and you're getting second place and you're trying to freaking cut corners, you wasted your goddamn time. Maybe you should just train some longer.
There's a lot of kids like that too. There's
Yeah,
a lot of kids like
because
that.
everybody wants the fast route, the easiest way, the easy pass to success. And unfortunately, what they're going to learn is it's about consistency. It's not determination. It's not the drugs. It's not supplements. It's not even the bar you use. It's just being consistent.
Yeah.
Because there's people that are training in terrible conditions with terrible equipment that'll beat your ass in a meet by 400 or 500 pounds on your total without
Yeah.
even asking.
Yeah.
What are you going to ask them what they use? Oh, this bar is from 1974. The freaking knurling's gone. It's bent. Oh, my weights are made of cement. Or, like, I
Yeah.
have old York plates that are, like, 3 pounds off. Like,
Yeah. Well, I know there's like this whole crowd. I know it's helped KOP. Excuse me. It's helped KOP and kind of hurt KOP. The power build there.
okay.
So when it was in Conchi, people went there. It was a really hard powerlifting gym.
Mhm.
It was rivaling. Wow. Watch me struggle.
Breathe.
Yeah. But it all the gyms in the area were like, all right, well, here's this soon to be Mecca, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now because of TikTok, because of these kids looking for this massive success
Mhm.
and posting about it, taking SARMs. SARMs was a big thing.
You're not even taking
For-
real SARMs.
I know, and these kids were taking them, and now it's like this mad TikToky thing, and more serious lifters like you or whoever just don't want to even go there.
For anybody listening, if you're going to look into something, a supplement, a method, do your research. SARM, selective anabolic receptor modulators, were made back in the 90s, probably around Balco time, to be a gene-altering drug.
What?
That was the purpose of it.
What?
The purpose of it was to manipulate your genetic code to create a response, whether it be anabolic, whether it be strength, speed, recovery. That was the original purpose of it. Around 2005, 6, 7, something like that, it became popular because I think was it MHP created a SARM supplement, because I remember Victor Martinez was on the poster like, this is what I take, dude, you don't fucking take that, but okay. But all that is like some weird kind of pro hormone kind of deal, at least at the time. Like, if you're getting real SARMs, you either are loaded or you have a hookup, because a real selective anabolic receptor modulator is a lot of money.
Oh
I think it would probably rival the cost of GH if you
think
got
so?
the real stuff. Absolutely.
my.
Because the purpose of it was to manipulate genetic code to make you better, to have better whatever the purpose of it was, and depending on dosage. So I think a lot of these, quote, SARMs that are out there now are probably androgen, heavy, Supplements are ways to get that kind of hormonal response, but SARMs weren't made to be hormonal.
They're made to be genetic. That's crazy. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
yeah.
what do you, so these kids that are taking this,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably worse than what they were initially trying to do.
I guess it depends on the age, right?
Okay,
So you hit your hormonal testosterone peak, or like 19, 20, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I don't know the actual number. Like that's your peak levels of testosterone.
Sure,
That's when
sure.
you're a man. That's why they hold kids back in Texas so they can be 19 as seniors, because that an 18-year-old is different than a 19-year-old.
Yeah,
A
agreed.
huge difference.
Yeah.
There's that one little bit of growth there. So if you're young, you're probably wasting your time, or you're just scared to take the real shit. Take the real shit. I did. It was fantastic. I loved steroids. I loved them. They were fantastic.
Make me
They
want to
make
do
you
it.
feel like they make you feel like a 1,000-pound gorilla, dude. And I was messing around with like androstenedione and other androgens and prohormones, and then a buddy of mine, I'll keep his name out of it. It's like, dude, why don't you just take the real stuff? I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. What do you got? What we doing? And it was funny because when I decided to do it, first thing I did was I told my mother, and I was like, "This is what I'm gonna do," because I was living with her. He goes, "Oh, okay." And I told her, I gave her the research. I mapped it all out. I'm like, "Gonna be fine. It'll be low dose. I just want to see. I want to see it because I was in bodybuilding and I thought it would help, and it did. And I talked to her. I made a doctor's appointment. I told my doctor, got some blood work done as a baseline so she can test my levels. And then I was working at a workers' comp third party where I was working with nurses and PTs, and I asked the nurse to show me how to self-inject. And she showed me how to self-inject. And then I did it. And it was extremely low dose. It was a simple combination. I was taking Sustanon 500, which is a 4-blend testosterone. I was taking, maybe 500 milligrams.
Really?
No, not 500 milligrams, but half of a cc of that.
Okay.
Every like 6 or 7 days. And
Okay, so that's not that bad. All right.
No, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
Considering the full cc would have been the full 500. So
Yeah,
250 milligrams of testosterone. And I was trenbolone acid, was it not acetate? Whatever the trend was at the time, I was taking like
That one has like that.
3/4 of a cc, maybe not even. So I think the math in my head was I was taking a full cc of drugs at least once a week. So every other day with the trend was probably half of a cc. So yeah. So I just did those. And hindsight, that was not a terrible blend, but it's not exactly the best blend because of the aromatizing and stuff like that. But anyway, take it, like if you're going to go that route,
Take the good shit.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean that's the smartest thing to do because people who are taking like the SARMs, they're getting trend from like questionable sources, and now they're they're getting trend from questionable sources.
Trend is from is it Phenotex tablets?
I don't know. I'm not familiar. Where they come from?
I even forget the guy's name now. So the guy that found whey protein, the guy that created whey protein, the name escapes me at the moment. I think he was responsible for finding trenbolone, and it was basically by crushing Phenotech. I might be saying it wrong, but some kind of tablet into a blend and injecting. It's very toxic to the body. Trenbolone is very toxic.
Oh, well, I knew it was. I didn't know it was that toxic, to where you're worried about it, but I knew it wasn't like it's Oh, what were they saying? Oh my gosh, this guy broke it down on TikTok, but he did break it down scientifically, and then not that I was looking into it or anything like that, but I didn't realize like how rough it is in your body.
Yeah, I mean, I've felt it after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Just some of the side effects, some of the fatigue. I never really got angry. I did get aggressive when it was time to get aggressive, but I was level-headed enough to kind of keep that at bay. Like, people were like, "Oh, this guy's on roid rage, dude." Roid rage is such a fallacy.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask you.
So when at least from my experience personally, when I was on, I felt great. I was happy. I was giggly. Like, I would laugh at everything. But I realized, like, once I started coming off and my post-cycle therapy wasn't exactly the best, I started getting very irritable. So I looked into it. Basically, what's happening is people who have roid rage have an imbalance in their hormone levels.
Okay.
So every man has hormone and a little bit of estrogen.
Yeah.
When your hormone levels, when your testosterone levels are at a certain height, especially when you're on, your testicles shut off because they don't need to really produce anymore. They atrophy. That's a real thing, because now you have a baseline of testosterone that's higher than normal.
Yeah.
Once you get off of that and you're trying to reactivate your testicles to bring back a level of testosterone, well, now the estrogen's pushed up to create that balance. So when people's estrogens spike, they get moody. Just like your girlfriend, just like any other female who goes through a time in the month.
I didn't think about that at all.
Like that's what comes from the moodiness. Now, you can have a rage from strong androgens.
Okay.
Okay, that's a
Because I think
real
that's
thing.
where most people think it comes from.
That's a real thing. But in my opinion, and from what I've seen and what I've experienced, roid rage is a little bit of a fallacy unless you're taking an obscene amount of androgens that are making you uber aggressive. Yeah.
Okay. Because, I mean, obviously everyone goes, oh, he's got that roid rage. Like, you know, you're just going to get angry all the time. Like, yada, yada, yada. And I think
as a man, when you're on, you feel great because you are optimized to the nth freaking percentile. You are the man. You feel great. Everything works great. Your brain's great. Everything. It's an unbelievable drug.
Mm.
And there's some people like I was coaching with this guy down the street like 8 or 9 years ago, and he wasn't lifting, but he was a D1 athlete and he was taking TRT, and I was asking him like how much you getting, and he goes, I'm getting 100 milligrams like every 3 weeks. I'm like, dude, you are jacked. He goes, dude, I feel great. I was like, can you imagine if you up the dose though? You know what I mean? Like you could be the man, and dude. Veins popping, dude. His biceps are filling out his shirt.
100 milligrams isn't crazy either.
No, but for somebody who I think he was in his like mid to late 40s, that's a good amount to get you pushed back up.
Well,
again.
I mean,
That's
most of those people around like mid to late 40s, going especially into their 50s, like take TRT.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's not an uncommon thing. Like I know a lot of men who take TRT and they're 51, 46.
And they look great. They probably feel great. Yeah, everything works. They don't need pills to get things going at night. Like it's a great I would say fountain of youth. I think it buys you a little time. Maybe it makes you feel a little better like you would be in your youth. I don't think it's a fountain of youth, but it does help.
And there's nothing wrong with it because it's like it's testosterone. Your body makes it naturally anyways.
Correct.
You know, and I'm not going to say like there's not, health connotations with it, but
there's health issues if it's not monitored or done properly.
Yes. Well, because you can get things like gyno. You can do especially on your
sure.
I forget what's that big issue if your post cycle doesn't go well.
Gynecomastia.
Yeah.
I have a little gyno tit. Yeah.
Yeah. I forget what's the other one. There's something else, but I can't remember it now.
Gyno's terrible. I hate it.
I know. I have a buddy who has it or had it. And actually two. One hasn't gotten it done yet, but I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, so when it was explained to me, so when I was bodybuilding, the guy that was helping me is Dave Flumbo. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
I can't say I have.
But he owns a supplement line called Species Nutrition, a website, RX Muscle. Anyway, I went to him because I was very interested in his diet method. And anyway, on one of his radio shows or podcasts, he had somebody on there, and they were talking about drug use.
Yeah.
Dave Palumbo is very open about the drug use he did when he was an amateur and so forth. Anyway, so when he described it, he described it so well. If you think about an empty glass, okay, and you do a little bit of drugs, so you fill it like a quarter of the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're a quarter of the way filled. You feel good. Everything's good. Now, eventually, that amount of dosage or whatever is not going to have an effect. So you increase it. Do you fill the glass all the way to the top? No, you just do a little more. You do a little more. But there's a point where that glass will overflow.
Yeah.
Well, now you have the side effects.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
so you need to do enough to get a response, but not enough that you're getting a negative response. Or the checks and balances have to make sense.
Yeah.
You're getting stronger. You're getting bigger. Okay, you got a little bit of back acne. Okay. what you fucking do. It happens. But you start going in like these big boy dosages, and all of a sudden, all you have is side effects. You're wasting your money, and you're destroying like your body, your endocrine system, everything is just falling apart because somebody who's 300 pounds is telling you to take a 300-pound man dose. But you're 160 pounds. That's the problem with steroid culture is most of it is from word of mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I've only ever heard about it from word of mouth.
So nobody's really like saying, "Hey, man, start small. Like take a little bit. Don't go crazy. Take a little bit." And unfortunately, when you get that feeling, like, "Oh man, I want to do more," it's like, dude, don't. Just chill.
It's a bad idea.
Just chill.
Yeah, and I feel bad for a lot of the guys that will do it just to they're pros. They're taking it around like our gym or depending on where you're going.
It's cosmetic. I wrote a paper in high school, and my paper was steroids is eyeliner for the man. Okay, women use eyeliner to beautify themselves. They use makeup. Most of these people that take steroids are just doing it to look good.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's fine.
And I think it's fine too.
Have at it.
And see, here's my thing, right? And I think because of the fact that you have control over what you're taking.
Most times, yeah.
Most times. That's fair. That's actually very fair. I just don't see the issue if some guys that's their decision. That's what they want to do.
It's a morality issue.
Yeah. But then you have your powerlifting purists or your strongman purists, and they go, well, they were really strong, and they shouldn't have to take steroids.
They're not purists.
And I'm like, yeah, well, that's the thing, is it's really just these gym bros with gloves on their hands.
Yeah, but so people who take don't care if you take or not.
Exactly.
They want to win.
Yeah.
And this is where they are. So that's the only morality issue that I have with somebody taking steroids in competition is if it's not allowed.
Yeah.
Weightlifting, it doesn't hurt nobody. MMA, absolutely not. That's combat sports. That's attempted murder. That's crazy. Yeah. Like, no, that should not be happening. Is it happening? Sure, whatever. But if you're in a non-tested meet, who the hell cares what you're on?
Yeah.
Because there are people that have lost to natural lifters taking an abundance of chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now what? Oh, shit didn't work. My needle's too big. I had this. It's like, no, you just flat out got beat by somebody who doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Who's genetically superior to you.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, it's crazy. I don't know, dude. There's just... I think after this conversation, I'm going to go take Trent. Anyways.
Please, not by my recommendation. I'm just, consult your healthcare professional.
I'm joking.
I don't want any part of that.
I'm joking.
But, so the epitome, I think, that I've seen of steroid use firsthand, I dated a girl who I met at the gym. Her name was Kelly Plush. She was, when she went to Arnold, I think she placed 7th overall in the amateurs. And anyway, while we were there at the Arnold amateurs, like the best of the best are there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially at the time, it was 2015, 16. There's some big boys, right? And big girls.
I think the way you said that was
No. So
no, I know. It was funny.
Do you know who Donna Moore is?
I can't say.
Donna Moore is a British strongwoman, right?
Okay.
And she's like the bee's knees and women's strongman.
Did you just say the bee's knees?
The bee's knees, bro.
The
Kelly was like all about her. This is my girl. I love her. She's great. Anyway, we're in the same hotel as them. We get in the elevator, and this chick's in front of me. Now I'm about 220 pounds at the time, right? I'm okay. And I'm looking at this girl, and I'm like, you are almost twice as wide as me in the shoulders. Like, her back would trump anybody at the gym. And it's this beautiful little, not little girl, but she's, a woman. And I'm like, God damn. Like, no, that's not natural. I really don't care. This is awesome. Wow. For me, like, I love, like, when I got into bodybuilding, when I got into training, it was the Dorian Yates era of bodybuilding. Everybody was huge. Everybody wanted to be big. That's what I wanted to get into lifting.
Sure.
Nobody gets into lifting, I want a six-pack. Everybody wants to be huge.
Yeah.
Right? So when I see big people, I get excited because I love big people. Well, big people are awesome.
Mm-hmm. And I always love those, and this is, I know I'm going to catch hate for this, because I'm currently getting canceled on our other podcast right now. I'll show you why later.
Okay.
It was about, basically it was, just to like, bring it up here. People, I'm sure there was this whole thing about guns. I was like, I think people should own guns. I think a bunch of people should own guns. And I said, that's a beautiful thing about America, that if you don't want to, you don't have to. And that's great.
Of course.
But then the next quote that I said was, one guy with a gun can control 100 people without. But 100 people with a gun, that one guy can't control them. So the whole point is I said that. Well, I mean, yeah, they obviously,
I understand the point, the point that you're getting, but
yeah.
if the 100 people who aren't armed are smart, they could definitely take one person with a gun. Now, a couple of you are gonna fall.
Well, no, I totally understand you and I agree with you, but people just lost. I'll show you the video after.
That's fine. The whole gun control thing, look, it's
Yeah.
um, I have my license to conceal. It's more or less like
Canceled.
I want to protect myself in a situation. I never want to use it. I will hope I never want to use it.
Yeah.
But if I have to, I hope I have the balls to stand up and use it.
Yeah.
It is intimidating. Now, I grew up. My stepfather was in the Marines, so
Nice.
guns all over not all over the place, but I was around guns. I was shooting guns at like 6 years old, just out in the field shooting targets. Probably super illegal, but
Conversation to continue.
I had respect for the weapon because I was taught respect for the weapon.
Yeah.
If you do not have respect or knowledge of the weapon or what it does, then maybe you should stay away from it.
Yeah.
That's on both sides.
Yeah. But apparently, what I said was harsh.
People need to get a grip.
Yeah, I know.
Because they want somebody with a gun. If somebody, if they're in trouble, they want somebody to help them with a gun. All right.
I agree with you. I do.
Jesus.
What was the point before we went on that tangent?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
Woman with a great back staring at her when you were with her girlfriend.
Okay, so
and then
the epitome of steroid use that I've seen in person was at that strongman competition.
Yeah.
Everybody was on. Now maybe there's a couple women that weren't, but the dudes are big, girls are big weights, lots of stuff moving, and it's like nobody cared. Nobody asked. Nobody was like, "Oh, this chick's on this." It's like, no shit, that chick's on this. The chick's 3 times the size of you. Like, but who cares? It's not you. Stay out of their life. Why? Who are you to judge them on what they do? That's their decision. Do I judge that you cheat on your wife? Do I judge you cheat on your tax? I don't fucking care. It's your life.
Yeah.
Do what you want. So here's a one-liner for you, since you like one-liners so much.
Yes.
I took this from Nick Saban. Freedom of choice, not freedom of consequence.
Oh. That's. Holy shit.
So you make whatever choice you want, but you're dealing with the consequences, positive or negative.
Yeah, it's like make your bed, you lay in it.
Yeah, and it's for these people that are like, oh, well, it's like that's their choice. Who are like, and it's your choice to judge. I'm sure, fine, but the consequence is going to be you're just going to be a miserable fuck in your basement, going, oh, I can't beat this guy. I only have a 200-pound bench.
Yeah.
Well, you just train longer. But anyway, at that competition, like. I remember. I mean, Kelly had to carry a 400 some odd yoke. She was 140 some pounds, and she blew the times away 50, 60 feet. She'll probably kill me for screwing up the time, but she flew. And there's people that are on drugs that were like, there's like, so yeah, there's an advantage. But in strongman, I think is one of the best strength sports because it's not confined to say 3 lifts like powerlifting or 2 lifts like Olympic lifting. Like it's an overall strength sport.
See, that's why. That's one of the reasons why, like a bunch of people have been trying, like, especially Roman, trying to get me and I joke with him all the time. I want to join a USAPL meet just to piss you off. Well, because like it's USAPL.
There's some strong people.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I know.
There's.
It's just he's an RPS purist and the whole thing. But
I don't know if he's an RPS purist anymore, but no, he's
anymore.
Yeah, there was something that happened with somebody who was at a meet that probably shouldn't have been there.
He told me about that with the don't diddle kids.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah. Yeah. He told me about all of that.
But like USAPL, there's a lot of strong people there.
Oh, agreed, without a doubt.
But there's a lot of like. People make fun of CrossFit. Okay, so I'm going to go on a tangent here. People make fun of CrossFit.
Apparently, he's racist too.
Oh, who's that?
Remember that whole thing?
Who's that?
Why CrossFit got canceled?
Oh, well, who cares if you're racist?
I just thought it was funny to bring.
Everybody don't like somebody, Okay, so it's race, whatever. Anyway,
continue,
so CrossFit. If it wasn't for CrossFit, powerlifting wouldn't be anything the way it is right now.
You think so?
Absolutely.
Really?
Because I was there. I saw it. Powerlifting in the 90s and the early 2000s was very niche. Like, you were lucky to get 50 people in one meet.
Really?
Okay, insert CrossFit. These people going to CrossFit, they get introduced to barbells, this, that, and the other. Some people don't like the running, the jumping, the burpees, that calisthenic form of exercise. They gravitate towards the weights. Well, now raw powerlifting takes off because it's something that they can do. When raw powerlifting took off, gear lifting kind of took a hit, but gear lifting also, I think, got a lot more people because now people are going through the progression of what is powerlifting. Everybody wants to start out, they start out training raw. And in my day, I was like, oh, well, put a bench on. You could put like 40, 50 pounds on your bench.
Yeah.
Well, now you got equipment. But everybody
Mhm.
starts out raw.
Yeah, man,
Mostly.
you
Mostly. There's some people that if you go into a powerlifting gym and you start out in a powerlifting gym in that time, you're probably putting equipment on immediately.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a little bit different because that's
I mean,
what
people
it was at the
people
time.
try slingshots too.
I don't think slingshots are considered equipment.
Well, okay, so you're considering equipment like a bench shirt, like a
Bench
deadlift.
shirt,
Okay,
yeah,
I was just more
briefs.
saying like I do know two people, or yeah, two. The other one stopped lifting. Where I had a slingshot for a hot 2nd,
Mhm.
and two of them got like bench shirts.
Mhm.
Only because when they asked about it, I showed them.
Mhm.
I always praise Roman. I showed them his
Mhm.
videos,
Mhm.
but that like they started. The reason they got into it was because of the Mark Bell slingshot.
Mhm.
So I didn't know if that was like a progression or.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, you're going to start somewhere and end somewhere else, or
Yeah.
continue on a path to the end
That's
point
just
is
what
over
I've
here.
seen that trend.
But like the slingshot is great because like anybody can bench in it, no matter how you bench.
Yeah.
You can use it. Now you put a bench shirt on. You ask Roman, you got to find a way to do it right. And if it ain't butter, it's coming to your face. It's going to be in your stomach. Like there's a skill set there.
Yeah.
But with like raw powerlifting takeoff from CrossFit, like when I got done playing rugby, I wanted to do something. I didn't want to bodybuilding because I hated the dieting. Like I destroyed my mental state with food there. And I was like, I'm going back into powerlifting. I immediately started looking for equipment, and I couldn't find equipment. I'm like, what is going on? I'm having trouble finding equipment or places. And then that's when I met Don Wilson from the gym. He goes, why don't you do a local meet? I was like, okay, so I did a local meet, and it was raw, and I was like, how the fuck do you train raw? Well, I'm just gonna do what I always did, and I used some of the Westside methods that I remember, and I had I had a relatively decent meet, I think. But everybody's making fun of me because my squat stance was like 10 feet wide, because that's how I was taught
You're
to
used
squat.
to the sumo squatting, right?
But I hit depth.
Yeah.
People who were squatting with their fucking heels together couldn't hit depth, but here I am like 10 feet wide, and everybody's like going like this on the side. I'm like,
Yep.
dude, this is just how I squat. Like I can show you the picture. It's hilarious.
Oh no, I've seen you squatting because you had equipment on though, but I think you had breathed.
So that stance is what I used raw. My first raw powerlifting.
That's what I figured as much with the
But
story.
with going, if you want to circle back to Louis, it's like if you want to find out how to be the best at something, look at the best in the sport and try to find what they're doing. So I immediately looked at all these raw lifters. They're not using Westside methods. I was like, okay, well maybe there's something to this. So this is where my mind gravitated. I went to the 505s. I hired Brandon Lilly for a while, did this cube method, and did all this stuff for like raw lifting. And I had some mild success, 5-3-1, all that stuff, and reps and volume with the barbell as opposed to special exercises, so on and so forth. But it wasn't until a couple years ago when I found Jack and Stacia Camber at 50 barbell when I was vacationing in Hawaii that I learned that the Westside methods are still applicable.
Oh yeah,
you just have to adapt it to raw lifting.
Well, even if you look at like the whole band system, band chains.
Now, anybody will argue. Now, people are like, "Oh, you can use Westside for anything." Yes, you can, but there is still a skill issue with a raw squat versus a equipped squat. You can't, in my opinion, from my experience, and I did this, you can't just box squat and go into a meet and raw squat.
I would agree.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Because you don't have, unless you're doing direct quad work, which you should be doing, which was something that I had to learn. Like you still need to squat. But what I learned from Jack and Stacia is, you still have to free squat. You still have to get that skill set, or you're gonna feel like poop on the fucking platform.
Yeah. Oh.
And that's where it was like everything started coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that I learned previously. Okay, I remember this. We can do this. I can do this. And then those guys have been huge, and all my lifts has gone up dramatically. And it's like I understand the methods. I understand what they're doing, and just a small adaptation of, hey, you know what? I'm gonna free squat more towards the end of my workout.
Yeah.
So I have that skill and that amount of strength and my quads and my hips and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's but anyway, yeah, raw. If it wasn't for CrossFit, there would be no raw powerlifting.
I never knew that.
Or if there was raw powerlifting, it damn near wouldn't be as popular.
Well, see, that's what I always wondered too. Is there? I mean, you can obviously see it on social media, on really anything. I mean, even look at the local RPS meets. It has blown up, and I didn't know that CrossFit was a big factor in it. I just thought it was a bunch of people on the internet, kids go, I want to lift, I want to be the mega Chad, the super strong alpha male.
Yeah, but that I feel like that didn't come about until like the last 5 or 6 years.
I would agree, but I definitely have noticed it in the past like year or two, especially
Mhm.
with the whole Andrew Tate era, especially with the whole
Okay.
and take that for what it is. But I didn't know CrossFit had the this big impact on it.
I think that was the main catapult.
And I mean, it makes sense. It does
Mhm.
make sense because I know a lot of people who like prime example from the gym. They'll do CrossFit and then they'll trickle over, and I'll see them in like the morning or in the afternoon when they would be there.
CrossFit is not a terrible thing.
No, I agree with you.
At all. It is a fitness class. Now the games, the thing I think that's funny about CrossFit and some of the hypocrisy with it, the only hypocrisy that I see is the people who compete in the CrossFit games don't do WODs that are posted on the CrossFit website.
What?
Correct. Because they need to train for events. It's just like strongman, you have to train for events.
Yeah.
So you need to specialize a little bit, okay? The CrossFit workouts are great workouts for whatever the goal is that you're trying to achieve there.
Yeah.
But the top CrossFit game athletes do not do those types. They do WODs, they do circuits, they do whatever lingo it is. But when some of these, like, I love listening to interviews of like
Wow.
CrossFit athletes, especially the women. If you're a lifter out there and you're a man, learn from a woman. That is the best advice I can give anybody.
Really?
Absolutely. Because they are not biologically geared to be that strong, be that powerful, be that athletic, right?
Yeah.
They're, you know, don't hate me for this, but like their purpose in life is to bear children, right?
Yeah.
That's what their genetic
Sure,
makeup
sure,
is
sure.
for. The man, testosterone, strong, fight off bears, wolves, fight other people. That's like a very caveman thing to say,
Sure.
but I think that there's fact in that.
I think most people would agree with you too.
But when you watch women do feats of strength, and you're like, how does she do that? Because she's probably technically better than you.
Yeah.
Learn from a woman because they're probably technically better than you.
Yep.
And I think that was something that I learned when I was dating Kelly, and I was going with a lot of her training sessions and watching her. Is that her technical efficiency was superior to a lot of men, and she would say, "Men just want to muscle it. I can't. I need to be better at it. So I need to specialize in it." And that's
smart.
like that is the way to go. Laura Phelps is a great example. When I talk to Roman about Westside, I constantly go back to Laura Phelps. Like she is a tiny human, super powerful.
Oh yeah.
How do you become that powerful, that tiny?
Be very.
That's more impressive to me than a 300-pound man squatting 1,000 is a 170-pound woman squatting 700 pounds. So before you bust my balls, 1,000 pounds divided by 300 is like 3 point what?
Yeah.
Whatever times the body weight. She did 6.5 to 7 times her body weight in one movement. That's a little more impressive to me. Coefficient, you want to say what you want, but
I agree
impressive
with
to me,
you.
100%.
I do agree with you. There was I think it was 140 pounds, 150 pounds. She did like 495. I think she's now up. I can't remember her name now. I'll try to find it and send it to you on Instagram. Or I'll just blow your phone up.
It's fine.
On a constant rate.
But yeah, like women, like I like the interviews with women. I like what they have to say because there's no ego. They just want to be better.
Yeah.
That's why they're all these quote muscle mommies all over the places because they work harder than all you dudes.
Well, and not to put her on blast, but I'm sure she'll appreciate this. Daphne from the gym, like a while. So she used to work over at Max Out.
Okay.
I don't know if you know. It was this like
I've seen it. Is that by the Gennardis?
It used to be.
Okay.
It used to be a thing.
Okay.
It was like this elite training thing.
Sure.
And she used to work there. So she had this instance where this kid would like being trained by her, but the mom didn't understand that Daphne was better than than him getting trained by a guy. And the kid training with her and exclusively got better. Better.
Yeah.
And even the guys at Max were like, "No, you definitely should train with Daphne. She's definitely one of the best here."
Yeah.
And people don't always want to train with the woman because it's a woman. She's not stronger than me. There's this 300-pound behemoth man. He's strong, but then it's like he's having hamstring issues. He's having lower back pain because he's not doing the correct proper form. His piriformis is tighter than a virgin asshole.
Oh, okay.
Because sorry,
that's fine.
But then it's like here's this woman who can literally move her body in any kind of shape or form, and then do probably 2x times her body weight, and this guy can't.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's a point that
she's impressive. Yeah.
That you're buying the person in a situation like that. If you're going to a trainer, you're buying the person. The person needs to sell themselves. You don't want this overweight, obese individual being your trainer. You want the fit guy if your ideal is to lose weight.
Agreed.
If you want to be jacked, you want the bodybuilder. You don't want the twig. Like, I understand that, but there's a point where you have to look beyond that and quote look at a resume. Okay,
I agree.
Like when I found Jack and Stacia Canberra, Stacia's 12-time or 10-time world record holder. I'm sorry, Stacia, I forgot your numbers. Anyway, when I went to visit, she was doing when I was there, she was doing a lot of Olympic lifting because that's part of their regime. Anyway, she's only like 107 pounds. She's doing like not a WOD, but like a circuit kind of style warm up with a snatch at 150 pounds.
Yeah.
That's already 40 pounds over her body weight as a warm up, just chilling, throwing it over her head. They're like, oh, this is what we do here. Okay.
Dude, you know how insane that is?
Right. And she's tiny. She's maybe 5 feet tall. She's 100 some odd pounds, and she's the most imposing powerlifting person I've ever been next to.
For me, just to do that for 40 pounds, I'd have to do like 364 pounds.
Okay. Now do that like 15 times in a span of like 5 minutes.
And to warm up.
And then do your workout.
That's just insane to me.
That's impressive. Somebody doing pull-ups is more impressive to me than a bench press.
Really?
Absolutely.
I mean, I can only do like one or half.
Right. There are some strong people that can't do a pull-up.
I get it. Yeah. But would you believe that we've been doing this for an hour and 2 minutes?
Oh. Well, it's up to you. You can keep going. Okay.
Well, I try to keep it in the time constraints of the hour, but
okay.
But my friend, this was probably the most enlightening pod. No offense, I'm so sorry. I probably shouldn't have said that.
Enlightening. Who are you offending by saying enlightening?
Well, I've had now doctors. I had I can't. I'm blanking on all of it now. There's been almost 40.
I got something for the doctors. You'll love this.
Okay. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay,
you're good.
Okay. So, what is the abbreviation for an associate's degree? Or no. So BS stands for bullshit. MS stands for more shit. PhD is piled higher, deeper. There you go. I love the doctors, but that's just something that I picked up over time.
I'm stealing you again, dude. We got to do another hour.
Oh, everyone do.
This is great.
Okay.
All right, but so for all them out there, I'm gonna put everything up live, like your Instagram and stuff like that. Like I know most of you guys are on Spotify, but those of you who are
mine's private, I probably won't accept you. I'm sorry. So write a cute DM or something.
Beautiful. So if you want to say, and if you have like a business email, like if someone wants to promote you or whatever it is. You can put all that out there, but it'll all pop up live.
Santan40 on Instagram, SANTAN40. Yeah, just go there. You don't need my email address.
Cool.
I don't
Sounds
check
good.
my email.
That's all good.
All
right, guys. Thank you very much, Zach Santangelo, and you trust me, you will see him.